What's up, guys? The Dolphins have made some interesting moves over the past couple days. Some may even say questionable moves over the past couple days. And I'm here to break it down for you, tell you what I think the Dolphins are thinking and what I think they're going to do in the coming days and in the future. So first and foremost, the biggest one, right? And this is all connected, so we're going to go hand in hand. Long snapper Blake Ferguson was released from the roster. Now, a lot of fans, if you've been on Twitter, you might know, you might not know, Blake Ferguson was cut, but he kind of had a handshake deal with Chris Grier. So because he's a veteran that's making so little money, he can be cut, not have waivers, and he can sign with whoever he wants. So you have a, that kind of like handshake, wink, wink deal with, that was a terrible wink, with Chris Grier and the Dolphins, that he's let go from the initial 53. They make the roster moves that they need to make, which probably includes putting someone on an IR with a designation to return. Because mind you, during the initial 53 process, you're only allowed 2, and we use that on River Craycraft and Cam Smith. So you were not allowed to do any more besides that. So anybody else, it needs to be done after the initial 53. So the reports is that he was let go, handshake deal to come back so they can do their roster construction, put someone on IR, get him back. So that was, Tuesday, and it is now Thursday morning, and he has not been signed back yet. And it's kind of like, okay, when are we going to sign him back? When are we going to make the move to put someone on IR? We're just sitting on rocks here, sitting on nails. Like it's just waiting to see what happens. And my best guess is that it's probably going to be Anthony Walker that goes on IR, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But we did pick up someone off of waivers, so you would think someone else goes on IR or someone else gets released. Well, we picked up Grant Dubose, 7th round pick, not this year, but last year, from Green Bay. He only played in one game, didn't get a target. It was the 17th game of the year, didn't really matter. But Dolphins see something in him. So much so that they made the questionable decision number 2 to release Jack Driscoll. And Dolphins fans on Twitter, if you've been on there, we're freaking the freak out. And for good reason. Because if you think about it, he may be our 5th guard. But then you look at it again and it's like, wait, right now, he's the only backup guard we have. Isaiah Wynn, starting left guard on the PUP, missing the first 4 weeks of the season. Liam Eichenberg, starting right guard, playing center for Aaron Brewer that is hurt. Lester Cotton is playing right guard in place for Liam Eichenberg. Robert Jones is playing left guard in place of Isaiah Wynn. After that, it was Jack Driscoll. After Liam Eichenberg at center, it was Jack Driscoll. Now, he's gone. I don't know if he's going to sign to the practice squad. We'll get to the practice squad here in a little bit. But as of right now, he's just released. He's gone. So the offensive line now includes 3 interior linemen that are not at their starting positions or not playing at all. You have 2 backup guards in, a backup center in, and no backup guards after that. Now, you have Kendall Lamb, who can probably swing inside. He's an option. You have Andrew Mayer, who is a backup center. He's an undrafted rookie free agent. Really good for him. He played well in preseason, earned himself a spot. Good for you. If one of the guards goes down, it's probably going to be Liam Eichenberg, switching from center to one of the guard positions. And then Andrew Mayer plays center. And if obviously Liam goes down, it would be Andrew Mayer that plays center in place of him. But currently, really thin on the depth there. Dolphins don't seem to be concerned, but if you've been a Dolphins fan for as long as I've been alive, which is 26 years, offensive line is like the one thing you're always concerned about because it has been trash. And don't come at me with them. Jesse Davis is available. He just got released by the Saints. Get the hell out of my DMs. don't bring JC Davis anywhere near me now that I've collected myself. So yes, that was a questionable decision to let Jack Driscoll go. So then you're like, okay, well, now you have 5 receivers on roster. Still not as many as you would want. You want probably 6 on roster. And that kind of brings us to the initial 53 again, where we only had 4. Especially since our top 3 receivers are banged up. You have one that's on IR in Craycraft. So really your top 4 receivers are all banged up. And that's really concerning, especially since you released Eric Ezukama. Now, they took a chance with releasing Eric Ezukama because he showed up and showed out in almost every single preseason game he's ever played in. And his injury concerns may have scared some teams off. He comes back, signs with our practice squad, luckily for us. And it's questionable because you know what Eric Ezukama can do when he's healthy. He knows this offense. He's been in it for 3 years now. He knows the playbook very well at this point. I would say he's probably a better option at this point in time over Grant Dubose. So that's questionable decision number 3 at this point, is to have Grant Dubose on the active roster over Eric Ezukama. Now, hopefully this ignites a fire under Eric Ezukama and he, comes back with a vengeance. Now, I already love what I see on tape from the young man, and he's a fan favorite of mine, so I really like to see him play. I wouldn't even doubt that he gets a few elevations to begin the year while Grant learns the offense. And while we're on the offensive side of the ball, I'm going to talk about the running backs real quick. We did keep 4 running backs, and questionable decision again is they're making all these little money moves, right? They released Mike White. They released Neville Gallimore that, saves us $1.1 million. Mike White saves us a little over $3 million, if I'm not mistaken. So they're doing that little nitpicking. Why keep Jeff Wilson Jr. on the roster over Chris Brooks? Why hasn't Chris Brooks, after clearing waivers, signed with us? And it's a pretty simple answer that's kind of not simple, is that Chris Brooks is hurt. Now, we know he missed the game with concussion, but I was also told by several people that watched the replay on his injury play and said that he landed very awkwardly on his shoulder. I watched it. It was kind of weird as well. He could have something wrong with his shoulder. Look, pure speculation. Nothing of note here. Nothing confirmed. Just speculation. He could be hurt besides a concussion, and that's the reason injuries is the reason he hasn't been signed to the practice squad. The Dolphins do have interest in bringing him back, though, once he is healthy. That's why he was waived/injured instead of just being straight up waived or cut. So a lot of you were wondering about Chris Brooks, so there's the reason he hasn't been signed, because we all know that was just an absolute brutal blow after having a 57-yard breakout run. It was really exciting to see. Back to the Jeff Wilson part, though. He's making $4 or $5 million this year. I would have liked to see Chris Brooks make the active roster over him, either trading him or cutting him. And you look, that may be something that's down the road, right? That may be part of a trade package down the road, because the Dolphins, like I said, they got a little bit of money situation going on. And if you think back to a couple weeks ago, a certain defensive end got traded from the Patriots, and the certain South Florida team did call to inquire about him. Yes, the Dolphins did inquire about Matthew Judon. It was confirmed by all the Dolphins beat reporters, as well as high as Tom Pelissero and Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport. It was confirmed. The Dolphins were in on trying to get Matthew Judon. Now, that tells me that the Dolphins are, it could be Chubb is not as ready as they want him to be, and he's on PUP, so he's missing at least the first 4 weeks. I wouldn't doubt he misses more. Jalen Phillips off the PUP, makes the active roster. He's going to be ramped up probably slowly. And it's good because he's coming off an Achilles injury. He's not going to be, I don't expect him to straight out the gate be the same monster he was when he was healthy. We probably need help on the edge. We probably need a veteran presence over there that is willing to play on a 1-year deal for 20 something million dollars. Because why the hell not? This team, this Dolphins team, is geared up to make 1 to 2 big moves or a huge splash. That's what they're gearing up to do. I feel it in my soul. I've been wanting to make this video for a couple days now because I'm like, they're doing something. I just feel it. I feel it in my gut. And back to Blake Ferguson being released and them needing the roster construction. I did mention in my initial 53 that I believe Anthony Walker Jr. is going to be put on IR. He's been dealing with an injury that who knows what it is, but it's been holding him out for several weeks now. So I expect him to be on the IR with his designation return, and that's how we're going to bring Blake Ferguson back to the roster. And now we're going to talk about Nick Needham, my boy Nick Needham. So a lot of people, including myself, were flabbergasted at the point that Storm Duck made it over Nick Needham. And I think it really just comes down to this. The Dolphins, they want to develop young players that are going to be here for a long time. And look, Nick Needham is still really young. But look, he has that Achilles injury on his resume, and he didn't really play too much burst last year. He looked like really good, like his old self in preseason. But then you have a young stud like Storm Duck that it's like, okay, I'm not sure if I want to take the risk on waiving him. We gave him $165,000 signing bonus, I believe, to sign with us as an undrafted free agent. They didn't want to wait to see if someone picked him up on waivers. They wanted him to stay in-house. So instead, they cut the veteran that doesn't need to be waived and doesn't need to go through waivers, and then they signed the veteran to the practice squad, which it kind of sucks because I do believe that I believe on tape, in my soul, everything in my being, that Nick Needham is the third best corner overall on this team. I think Cater plays a tiny bit better in the slot, but overall, I think Nick Needham can play the slot and the boundary. He can play safety. He's just a more versatile DB. And honestly, his cut may have been coming down to the fact that he had that special teams fluke, which they're like, oh, he's a special teams ace. I really don't remember him on special teams at all, because they were trying to protect the very thin corner group that we've had over the past few years. So he had a little fluke where the ball touched him, and it went to the other team. I believe that was the second game. So yeah, very unfortunate, but maybe that tiny little play was the decision maker. I don't know. So then you have it's just a cluster, man. I will say, fan favorite Hayden Rusi did really well in preseason. Dolphins are really excited to actually work with him and develop him, kind of like what they did with Tanner Connor, who made the 53. So it's good to see that they're developing these guys. Probably means Durham Smythe is on his way out sooner or later, or that maybe Jonnu isn't going to stay around for a long time. I would really love to see Jonnu for a long time. But all of this really to say, the Dolphins' moves, their questionable moves, their intriguing moves, whatever you want to call them, they all lead to just like, okay, they're building something. They're getting ready to make a splash. Like you could see it, you could feel it, and I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but call me crazy. I don't care. I don't know if it's gonna be offensive. I don't know if it's gonna be defensive. I don't know where the splash is gonna come. There's gonna be a splash, a trade, a signing, something that's gonna surprise all of us. Mark my words. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think the Dolphins are crazy? Do you think I'm thinking too much of this? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts. Deuces.